Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be going through my May TBR and I'm a little bit nervous, not gonna lie, because this is the first time that I'm playing my TBR game in a few months. So we took a break in April because I was taking part in 3 readathons and I was feeling a little bit stressed. However, the TBR game is back for May and we're gonna find out if it was kind to me. Spoiler alert, it was not. But if this is the first time that you're watching my TBR game, then I will leave the playlist linked in the description in case you wanted to start from the beginning or you wanted to learn the rules. April ended up being a really productive reading month and I'm a little bit scared because the last few books that I've read have all been like 4 or 5 stars. So I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll with my reading and I'm feeling like I'm in a proper reading mood. So I'm excited for every single book that I pick up, but I'm nervous that it's not going to last. And at some point I'm going to pick up a book that disappoints me and it's going to send me into a reading slump. But hopefully that doesn't happen because I do have ambitious plans for May. I'm still taking part in Eurovisionathon, which is hosted by Helen from Helen's Bookhaven, and the whole idea behind this readathon is that you read books to represent different countries that are taking part in the Eurovision Song Contest, and then however those countries perform in the final, you earn points based on the books that you've read. I'll leave Helen's announcement video in the description just in case you would like to find out more, but so far I've read books for the UK and Sweden, so I would like to read a few more books before the readathon ends in the middle of May, but otherwise I'm not taking part in any other readathons in May because 3 was enough in April. I do have a few read and blog ideas though that I would like to try and get around to doing in May, so yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. But I'm gonna stop rambling and get into it, so let's go with rule number 1. Okay, so rule number 1 is a 3. 1, 2, 3, which is romance. So rule number 1 landed on romance, and for this I'm going with The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armos, which I'm using to represent Spain in Eurovisionathon. I need to be careful with how I'm holding this because it's a library book and it's very shiny. But this is a follow-on to The Spanish Love Deception, which I read last year and I did enjoy. I'm hoping, obviously, that I enjoy this as much, if not more, but it follows a side character from the first book called Rosie, who's just quit her job to become a romance writer when things start to go wrong. So the ceiling in her apartment has just fallen through, and in a panic she decides to go and stay at her friend Lena's apartment because Lena is out of town at the moment and Rosie has the spare key. However, when she arrives at this apartment, she learns that Lena has already agreed for her cousin to stay there. So Rosie and this guy end up living in this apartment together, and as it's a romance, I'm guessing that sparks start to fly. So yeah, I'm really hoping to like this. The main issue that I had with The Spanish Love Deception was that it felt a little bit too long, but this is 400 pages, so not too bad, and I'm hoping I can fly through it quite quickly. Rule number 2 is a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is another romance. Role number 2 also landed on romance, and for this I'm going to be reading The No-Show by Beth O'Leary, which I think is a romance. It might be more of a contemporary. I've been meaning to get round to this book for the longest time because I really enjoyed The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary and The Switch. However, I didn't like The Road Trip, so I've been wanting to try more of her books just to see if it was a little blip, and I can still like her books, but from what I understand, this is about 3 women who all get stood up on Valentine's Day by the same man, but they don't know that they've been stood up by the same man, and I think it's a story about female friendship. I've heard that it's really good. I'm pretty sure I've heard a few people say that this is their favourite Beth O'Leary, so I'm excited to finally be getting around to it. Rule number 3 is a 2. 1, 2, which is Other. Role number 3 landed on Other, which means I need to read a book that's not a thriller, a fantasy, or a romance. So I went to my library because I wanted to read a book that I could use for Eurovisionathon. And someone recommended me Elena Ferrante because she's a really popular Italian author, and I picked up these 2 books physically, but I've also got My Brilliant Friend through my library app on my phone. But yeah, I'm gonna read one of these. I haven't decided yet, but they're both pretty short, so maybe I could read both actually. Let me know if you've read The Days of Abandonment or The Lost Daughter and which you would recommend more, because I was trying to work out through Goodreads and stuff which I would prefer, but they both sound really interesting. Rule number 4 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is challenge, and the challenge is to read a 2023 release. Role number 4 landed on challenge, and the challenge was to read a 2023 release. So for this, I'm going to go for The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart, which is the third book in the Drowning Empire series. I read the second book about a year ago, so I would like to get round to the third book soon while it's kind of fresh in my memory. I've probably forgotten loads anyway, but I would like to finish this series because I really enjoyed the first 2 books. I really liked the magic system and how it's based around bone shard magic. I really liked how it had great atmosphere and a really adorable animal companion trope. So yeah, I'm hoping to get to this in May. The only problem is that the ebook at the moment is quite expensive, and I don't want to buy the hardback because I read the last 2 on Kindle, so I might end up waiting to read this unless I get approved for the ARC on NetGalley. I requested it a while ago and never heard back, so I probably haven't been approved. But yeah, hopefully I can get around to this one in May. Role number 5 is a 1, which is Other. Role number 5 landed on Other, and for this I'm going to be reading A Curse of Roses by Diana Pingicha, which is technically a fantasy. However, because it's a historical fantasy, I feel like I can count it for this prompt. I can also use this to represent Portugal in Eurovisionathon because it was originally published in Portuguese, and it's also based on a Portuguese legend. In this book, we are following a princess who is cursed so that everything she touches turns to roses, and from what I understand, she enlists the help of someone to try and reverse this curse because there's a famine that's plaguing her country and people are starving, but if she can turn flowers into food rather than the other way around, which is what's happening at the moment, then it could seriously help her country. I think it has a sapphic romance as well from what I remember, but this has been on my TBR for the longest time. I'm pretty sure I was meant to read this for the first Eurovisionathon that I took part in, but I didn't get around to it, so every single year since then I've added it to my TBR whenever Eurovisionathon has come around and just not got around to it yet, so hopefully I will finally read it this May. Role number 6, I think this is another one, which is fantasy. Role number 6 landed on fantasy, and for this I'm going to be reading Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie, which is book 3 in the First Law series, and it's a chunky one. I'm pretty sure it's nearly 700 pages, and this is a very slow-paced series, so it could take me a while to get through this, but I'm really excited to see how things conclude in this book because I have been enjoying this series so far. I really like the character writing and I like the atmosphere. However, Joe Abercrombie doesn't tell you anything. Nothing is ever really properly explained, and I understand that that's the point, but it's still a little bit frustrating. Like going into this third book, I only vaguely understand what the plot is. So yeah, I'm hoping that we get some answers characters in this book, and I'm hoping that it has a satisfying ending. And then hopefully this is going to be the final roll. It's not. It's a 1, which is romance. It was at this point where I was starting to get worried that this game was never going to end. But roll number 7 landed on romance, and for this I'm going to be reading The Split by Laura Kay. So this, I think, is a romance. It might be more of a contemporary, but it follows a main character called Ali who has just broken up with her girlfriend, and she decides to steal her cat before moving back in with her dad. Her parents try to force her back into dating again, and she meets this guy Jeremy, and together they hatch a plan to run a marathon to try and win back their exes. This plot sounds like it's a little bit all over the place, but it also sounds like the kind of book that I would enjoy. I've had this on my Kindle since it came out in 2021, and I'm excited to finally read it. I'm pretty sure that I heard really good reviews for this when it first came out, so hopefully I will like it. I can't even remember what roll this is, but it's a 2. 1, 2, which is a challenge. And the challenge is to do a Twitter poll. Roll number 8 landed on challenge, and the challenge was Twitter poll. So for this, I made a poll on Twitter and then asked people to vote for a book for me to read. And the 4 options were Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and Notes on an Execution by Dania Kakafka. The winner was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I have already started. I decided to make a start on it last night, and I've only read the first few chapters, but so far I am intrigued. We're following 2 main characters, Sam and Sadie, who met when they were kids, and they were really good friends because they bonded over video games. However, they're now in college in the same area, and they meet again, and they're not really friends anymore, but they know of each other, and I think they end up launching a video game together. But this is really a story about platonic friendship from what I've heard, and it's about the way that these characters come and go from each other's lives. I've seen comparisons to Normal People by Sally Rooney, which makes me a little bit nervous because I didn't like Normal People. However, I think that was more to do with the writing style, and so far I'm really liking the writing style in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Okay, so hopefully this is going to be the final roll, and it's not. It's a 1, which is romance. Can't believe I'm actually saying this, but roll number 9 landed on romance, and for this I'm going with The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa, which I have heard really good things about. I've heard a lot of people describe this as a true rom-com because it's actually funny, so I'm really excited to finally be reading this because I've had it on my Kindle for the longest time. I think this is going to be a contender for my next Kindle Clear Out Project vlog. I think this is about a woman who was left at the altar at her own wedding, but she's now a wedding planner, and she's given this great opportunity to work on a really high profile wedding. However, the downside is that it would mean having to collaborate with the brother of her ex-fiance, who was best man at her wedding where she was jilted. Sounds like a great synopsis for a movie, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, obviously because this is a romance, I'm assuming the main characters go from hating each other to at least liking each other a little bit. But yeah, I've heard this is really fun, and I'm excited to finally be getting around to it. Final roll is a 5, which we could have done with a few rolls ago, but that does mean we have finally escaped the board, and this is going to be one of the longest TBRs I think I've ever done with this TBR game. So those are all the books that I am hoping to read in May. This TBR got a little bit chaotic. You might be able to hear it in my voice as I was doing the rolls. I was not expecting to have 9 books on my TBR for May, but yeah, what can I say? I guess my TBR game was punishing me for missing last month, but thanks for watching. If you have made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books on my TBR and what you're hoping to read in May. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye!